Alright, welcome to it, everybody. So I have been listening to this album so much. It's probably my most listened to album of 2023 so far. Now, I'm not going to say it's my favorite record of the year so far, because there's a lot of perfect records that I feel have been released already, and I'll definitely get to them probably later in the year, though I have some ranking reviews where some of them will come up, and maybe some review videos where I'll bring some of them up. But this is definitely my most played so far because, like most people, I didn't like it that much initially, but I stuck with it, and I think a lot of people should, and I just wanted to put out some kind of positive thoughts about this record because it's getting just slagged off so much. It's getting, torn a new one. This happens every time this band has released a record since maybe 98 or so, but it's gotten really bad since 07 or so. People just drag Billy through the mud, and people's, on the comments they go, "Where's Darcy?" And it's like, well, she hasn't been in the band for as long as you've been alive. But I'm talking about ATUM. Yes, that's how that's pronounced. ATUM by Smashing Pumpkins, which is a triple album, 33 songs, and continues the story of Zero and Glass. And I have to listen to all the podcasts because I find it very fascinating, but I'm one of those fans, Billy, where I don't completely understand the concept yet, but I'm just enjoying the music so far. And then, like always, I'll give the album dozens of plays and then go see what the actual lyrics are about. But it's definitely kind of like it plays with what happens to Zero, and I think that's the name of the character, when he, it's kind of straddles the line between his reality and kind of like this sort of dream world or like other dimension or whatever. But all I know is musically, I find this incredible, and I get kind of tired of people that want Billy to make the first two records again, because Smashing Pumpkins have never repeated themselves ever, and every record has been completely different than the last. And people want them to make Siamese Dream again, but they've never repeated themselves anyway, even after, they obviously had their success after Siamese Dream. Mellon Collie was one of the biggest albums in the 90s. It doesn't sound anything like Siamese Dream. And, obviously a lot of people don't like all the synth work on these Smashing Pumpkins records, and to a lesser extent, Billy Corgan's records, a lot of the solo ones have used synth. But he's just kind of modernizing their sound and using new textures and stuff, because you can't spend your whole career singing "The World is a Vampire," especially when you're, how old is the guy now, in his 50s or something like that? Obviously you can do it at your show, but to try to replicate that angst, I'd say teen angst, but he was probably 30 when he wrote that song, right? But yeah, it would be really sad if Billy was trying to replicate that. And I don't agree with everything Billy Corgan does, especially if we're talking non-musically, but when it comes to musically, though, I think I'm more complimentary than a lot of people. I wasn't a big fan of the Shiny Oh So Bright Part 1, and I assume that Sire, is that how you pronounce it? CYR? I assume that that's just going to be Part 2, even though it's not in the title, because of the aesthetics of the record and the record artwork and everything like that. But, people weren't happy with either of those two, especially Sire. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I almost, if I talked about this 2 weeks ago, I would have said ATUM, up and ATUM. But it's ATUM, because I've actually listened to Billy talk about it, and some fan theories about it, but I haven't checked out the podcast yet. I was so happy when this came in the mail. I don't remember being so happy on a release day in a little while, a couple years at least. I got that old magic of, when you album release day, right? And for that week, this is all I was listening to, and it was This album was released episodically, so you had part one hit, I think, in late 2022, and so the first dozen or so songs came out, and I remember listening and really liking, especially the first three, maybe first four, and then it kind of lost me, and there were a couple songs I thought were just trash. So it was a really mixed bag. I had mixed feelings, but my feelings were still a little better than a lot of people out there on the internet and a lot of Smashing Pumpkins fans that just go onto the message boards or the comment section and go, old SP fan checking in, still hating their new work, and it's like, you're not a fan if you hate half their discography anymore, are you? Well, maybe you are, but it's like, I don't get the point if you hate a band so much for their latter work and then just check in to say that or whatever. Anyway, we won't go there. I want to hear what people are positive about and passionate about. There's some groups along the way where I've kind of dropped them, but I don't check in to tell people how much I hate their new stuff. I don't know, anyway. But, yeah, that sometimes kind of bothers me, but I digress. Anyway, so I didn't really like the record all that much. I thought it was decent, though, because there was a lot of goodwill for the first couple songs, and I liked a couple at the tail end there. The Hooligans one I didn't like. Hooray, which is the one that everyone hates. I thought that one was hot garbage. But overall, it was a decent mixed bag. It had a few tracks that I was like, oh, that's really good. I like this so much more than Shiny and Oh So Bright Part 1, which I had hyped up in my mind as being, the comeback, even though I liked a lot of the work leading up to that. Other than Tear Garden, I like these records that no one likes or talks about. Obviously, it doesn't have the classic sound, especially any record that they didn't make with Jimmy doesn't have that classic Smashing Pumpkins sound, but I still like it for what it is. And I mean, Adore doesn't have Jimmy on it, and that's from the, classic first 5 record period, and it's just a very different style. So I don't see why people are going, they didn't make Siamese Dream over again. It's like, well, just go listen to Siamese Dream. It's incredible. It's aged so well. They're not going to be making shoegaze influenced music anymore, though. Just how the first record was its own thing. And then, so 11 weeks after ATUM, ATUM Part 1, they released ATUM Part 2, and I definitely like Part 2 a little bit better, and I listened to it on its own the first time, and then the next couple listens I listened to it in context with Part 1, so in the sequential order or whatever. And then I started to like some of Part 1 a little better, too. Fast forward again 11 weeks, and we had the street date for this, when it hit streaming, so you could listen to all 3 as one. So all the parts came together for the grand sum of ATUM, and by then, I had just completely changed my tune. I liked every song except Hooray. I put it on. I got it a couple days late because of the mail up here in Canuck land, as I sometimes call it. But yeah, I listened to it a few times digital, and then it came in the mail, because street date is Friday. It came in on Monday, and I was so excited. I don't think I was working that day. No, I must not have been, because I remember going in the morning and getting back and being so happy, like I was a child again, like new Smashing Pumpkins record, and putting it on the turntable. And I gotta tell you, it sounded good on Spotify, it sounded good on my portable speaker, it sounded good on my portable earphones or whatever. I sound like such an old man when I talk about that stuff. But man, the LP sounds amazing, and I've read a couple complaints about it, but for me, it's one of the best sounding new LPs I have. I just thought everything sounded so much more crisp and organic and live off the floor, like especially the drumming. The drumming sounded really punchy on my setup there, and so even though I had played the record many times in full already, it just hit me all over again, and I was like, wow, like, I feel almost honored. Like, I don't want to sound egotistical, but I feel honored that I'm one of Billy Corgan's fans that does like and appreciate it, because it's like so many people are like, oh, I like Billy Corgan back in the day, but man, what is he doing? And or oh, SP used to be my favorite band, and now they just suck or whatever. And I'm like, so I almost feel like privileged that my brain is like, this is good, we like this so much. And I think I'll like it even more when I listen to all the podcasts, of which there's a lot to listen to. Maybe I'll just start with the ones where it's like interviews with Billy and Jimmy and stuff like that, because some of them are with like Tegan and Sarah and that, and it's like, okay, outside of the Lego Movie song, which I extremely dislike, you guys are really talented people and I respect your opinions, but why are they talking about it? But I'll probably listen to it in order, despite what I just said. Maybe it'll make more sense then. Because everything Billy Corgan does makes sense, right? With his... He's got like a Freemason pin on his coat now. It's like, ooh, dude, come on. Watch Monty Python and realize how frickin' ridiculous that is. Or that wrestling thing he's been doing for like a decade and a half. What are you doing? Everything the guy does outside of music is like, Billy, what? But man, when it comes to his music, his artistry, his lyrics, love it. And, you know, the guy's not trying to snarl anymore. He's not doing that despite all my rage thing. So if you can't get down with that, then don't even bother, because, like, he's matured. Everyone, like, especially men, vocalists, their voices are going to change. You either completely lose it, like, I felt like David Gilmour was kind of losing it on the last solo tour he had, so I don't feel like there'll be any more live stuff from him ever again. And, you know, unfortunately, Gordon Lightfoot, he was losing his voice for the last couple decades of his life. It was very obvious, very prevalent, and Billy still has a good singing voice. It's an acquired taste, definitely, because it's always been kind of nasally in that, but he can make it very beautiful, and there's a lot of beautiful tracks on here. And people are lamenting the fact, like, you know, why get James Iha back and not have any rockers? There's some rockers on here. Empires, Beguiled, and there's a lot of Harmageddon, Intergalactic, which is this like 8 or 9 minute epic. If you're hating on this, or if you checked out part 1 or part 2 and didn't check out part 3 because you're like, I give up, yeah, check out Intergalactic. Yeah, I'm really impressed with this record, and I just wanted to say a little something about it, because this is like one of the most hated records this year, and I was having a field day with it. And you know, we'll see if it makes the top 10, because inevitably I'll probably be doing one of those videos, because I think those ones are my favorite to make. The year end, like, let's look back on the year, and no matter all the bullshit that happens in real life, not just to me personally, but out there in the world, looking back on all the great music that comes out every single year of our lives, it's amazing. And so yeah, I don't guarantee that autumn will make the top 10 come autumn, or winter, I guess. Joke failed. It may not. I know that there's, yeah, quite a few already that would be ahead of it, and I know there's a lot of great music coming out this year, things that have been confirmed, and, you know, things that are rumored or the artist says are going to be ready for this year, which you got to take with a grain of salt when it comes to musicians. So we'll see how it places, but for the time being, I mean, I really love this album, and I would say that it's definitely my favorite since this one, Oceana, which is another record I really didn't like the first couple times I listened to, but then I remember seeing it in a shop about 4 or 5 days before Street Date, and it was just like, ooh, that's out early? Smashing Pumpkins. Okay, I'll give it a shot, and I'll go home and listen to it. And then on that third play, or maybe fourth play, I was like, yes, I get it. Like, you know, I don't know what Billy's doing with this 19-year-old drummer or whatever he is, and, you know, not getting Jimmy back, blah, blah, blah. But for what it is, I really liked it. So it's definitely my favorite since that one. Um, you know, you have Monuments in there. Tear Garden's the only one that I really detest, I'm going to be honest, and I think I said that in my ranking video. And then Shiny Oh So Bright, most of it is kind of boring. It's got a few good ones on it. But yeah, not popular takes, because most people don't like any of this stuff. Um, so yeah, it's definitely my favorite since then. It might be my favorite since Zeitgeist. And it might be my favorite since I was listening to it the other night, Machina, or Machina 2, which still doesn't have like a physical copy or streaming. But Machina, I know that people say it's bloated or completely overproduced. It's gonna always be one of my favorite Smashing Pumpkins records. So I think, yeah, it might be my favorite since then, which is pretty crazy. And, you know, some people are like, oh, you're too soft. But, you know, I have my critical analyses of certain artists, too, including the Smashing Pumpkins, because I think the Tear Garden thing was a complete failure. And I guess even Billy agreed, because it kind of got aborted halfway through. Which, as much as I disliked the material, I kind of wanted to see where he was going with it, so it's almost sad that it did, but anyway. Maybe it'll come out, maybe it's in the vault and it'll come out in like 10 years or when Billy's an old man. And all the Gen Zers or whatever are saying, he is. But no, that's all relative. I don't think he is yet. Anyway, but I thought I'd shine a little light on my feelings, because like this is like the second or third most hated album from like a major artist this year, and like I said, I just had such a good time with it, and it probably is my most listened to album so far this year. But again, it's not my number one album, but I don't really want to spoil what it is in case that doesn't change. Otherwise, those countdown videos are kind of like, you told me what your number one is. So thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video, and let me know your thoughts about the Smashing Pumpkins and the recent output. Get your teeth back in there. And yeah, if you don't like the new stuff, hey, that Zwan record is going to be reissued. It's coming out soon, and I mean, hopefully Machina is. Billy keeps saying that, but we'll see. So there's always the old stuff, right? Anyway, peace and love, and we need a little more positivity about our music criticism or whatever. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you in another video. Goodbye.